Good afternoon. In this week's book breakdown, we're going to be covering the new 1 Minute Manager. This book is written by Ken Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. It's an awesome book for anyone who's looking to become a leader, a manager, an owner, a coach, a captain. The tips in here will help you be more effective in that role. Let's get into it. All right, as you see, got a lot of tabs of some things I want to share with you as far as quotes and ideas from the book. You've all seen memes and lists that show the difference between a leader and a manager, or a boss and a leader. And I think all that stuff is excellent, and you want to keep those things in mind. This book is talking about, in story form, a young man that goes to companies looking to interview somebody or even an internship. And he's heard about this new 1 Minute Manager. He's having tremendous success in the company. Everyone loves him. And the person has a lot of availability. And so this young man is very interested on what is the secrets and how is he having that success. So it starts off with, how on earth can we get results if it's not through people? So I care about people and results, not one or the other, because they go hand in hand. People who feel good about themselves produce good results. So if you're making people feel poorly, there's not going to be any results coming in. All right, next one is, so think about this. They're talking about, there's three things you want to do with people. The first one is looking at 1 minute goals and how to talk about those with people. And some of the writing was, if you did X, what you want to happen actually happen? And the person may say, well, no. And say, then that's a lousy solution that you have. What else could you do? And you get people thinking about other things. And they say, well, I could do B. Okay, if you did B, will what you want to happen really happen? And the person may say, well, no, or maybe not. And then that's also a bad solution. What else could you do? So getting people to think about solutions and possibilities is what you want to do. And the person would think for a while and they come up with C, and then they might say, well, shoot, if I do C, that won't happen. So that's not the right solution. And they start thinking the right way. And then you might say, well, is there anything else you can do? And then they might say, well, I can combine some of those solutions, or I could do this. Or maybe they've truly tried everything that they know and learned some things, but now they need you to step in with the solution. But most time people can come up with the solutions themselves. You just have to give them some trust and maybe guide them along the path. So the first one is, the first thing of 3 things you want to do, have 1 minute goals. And here's the way to look at that. You can help your people, you can plan some goals together with them, and make sure the goals are described briefly, and show people what good performance would look like, or at the end of it what it would look like. Have people write out each of their goals with due dates on a single page. So let's say you're working on 3 to 5 major goals. The book suggests that you wouldn't all write them together. You'd have 3 to 5 individual sheets of paper where you write out that goal and all the details with the due date. And then ask your people to review their most important goals each day, which only takes a few minutes. So you keep the main thing top of mind, and encourage people to take a minute to look at what they're doing and see if their behavior matches their goals. And a lot of times that's the big disconnect. People set a really high goal, but their actions and behavior aren't coming anywhere near what it takes to get there. And so if you're a leader, you can help people realize that and help them go from where they're at to where they need to be, or readjust the goals. And lastly on these goals here, if they're basically what I said, if their activity and things don't match, encourage them to rethink what they're doing so that they can realize their goals. All right, so be goal focused, 1 minute goals, and help people get there. Another good quote, help people reach their full potential. And you want to catch them doing something right and recognize it. Art Williams said, people can never be recognized too much. All right, so you're doing 1 minute goals with people. You're also doing 1 minute praisings with them. So when you're spending a minute to praise a person, the first half of that minute might look like this. Praise people as soon as possible. Let them know what they did right. Be very specific. Tell them how good you feel about what they did right and how it helps, and then pause. The pause lets it sink in. So pause for a moment to allow people to feel time to feel good about what they've done. And the second half of the minute, encourage them to do more of the same. Make it clear you have confidence in them and support their success. Good stuff, right? How many people would like to be praised more by bosses and leaders around them? And then there's a 1 minute redirect, and that's really the third part there. And here's some examples. You know, around here's what it says in the book. Well, let me get to this page here. On the 1 minute redirect, here's what it might look like. So this is from the book. First, he makes sure he's made a goal we've set clear. And if it isn't, he takes responsibility for that and clarifies the goal. So this is an employee talking about the manager. Then the manager provides me with a 1 minute redirect in 2 parts. In the first half, he focuses on my mistake, and in the second half, he focuses on me. So the person says, well, when does he do this? As soon as he becomes aware of the mistake. He confirms the facts with me, and we review what's gone wrong. He's very specific. And then he tells me how he feels about the mistake and its possible impact on our results, sometimes in no uncertain terms. After he tells me how he feels, he's quiet for a few seconds to let it sink in. That quiet pause turns out to be surprisingly important. The kid says, well, why is that? Well, because a quiet moment gives me time to feel concerned about my mistake and think about the impact it might have on me and the organization. Well, how long does he stay quiet for? Only a few seconds, but sometimes it seems longer when you're on the receiving end. So John continued, in the second part of this redirect, he reminds me that I'm better than my mistake and that he has confidence and trust in me. He says he doesn't expect a repeat of that mistake and looks forward to working with me. It sounds like to me that this redirect makes you think twice about what you have done. The employee nodded, it does. Could you tell me more about the key parts of using this 1 minute redirect? Sure. He specifies exactly what went wrong, so I know that he's on top of things and that he doesn't want me or my team to be known for poor or mediocre work. Since he ends the redirect by reaffirming that he values me and my team, it's easier for me not to react negatively and become defensive. I don't try to rationalize away my mistake by fixing blame on somebody else. Of course, it helps to know that he will take responsibility if the goal isn't clear to everyone. Because of that, I know he's being fair. The redirect only takes about a minute, and when it's over, it's over. But you remember it, and since it ends in a supportive way, you want to get back on track. I know what you're talking about, the young man said. I'm afraid I have asked him and experienced that as well. So guys, you got to have the tough conversations with people, but it's good to have some tact and some ideas on how to do that. Here's a quote. Around here, we're aware that if you are new to our company's culture, but you need a redirect, it should be a mild one so that you don't get discouraged. So they're not going to be super rough on someone who's brand new. They're going to, approach people in a fitting way. This person says, I noticed that this third secret continues a pattern in the 1 minute system of leading and managing. Goals make clear what is most important to focus on. Praising builds confidence that helps you succeed, and redirects address mistakes. All of these 3 things help people feel better about themselves and produce good results. All right. Another quote. The best minute I spend is the one I invest in people. So think about that. If you're self-employed and you want to really expand your results, have some leverage and time, you need employees or partners or people working with you to leverage. And some of the best thing you could do is invest in those people. But same thing, if you already have employees or you're a manager of employees, the best thing you can do is invest in them. It's funny to think about all the money a company or a person could spend on technology and software and training, but when it comes to their people, some of the time and money, they think twice about investing in them. And that's really the people that run the software and the machines and things. So remember this, everyone is a potential winner, just some people are disguised as losers. Don't let their appearance fool you. Who are we to judge, right? Don't judge and you won't be judged. Take a minute to look at someone's goals, then look at what they're doing and see if it matches their goals. And same thing, you can do that for yourself. Look at what your goals are and see if your actions are matching it. Hey, rather than punish inexperienced people who are still learning, we need to redirect them. That involves resetting clear 1-minute goals to make sure they understand what's expected of them and what good performance looks like. The young man would ask the teacher here, so after you've done that, do you try to catch them doing something approximately right again? Precisely. In the beginning, you're always trying to notice situations where you can give a legitimate 1-minute praising. A couple more here, guys, or 3 or 4 more. All right, for some reason, it just doesn't work that way. Some people, now that I think of it, say that I am nice and tough as a manager, but to be more accurate, I am actually tough and then nice. So tough and nice, echoed the young man. Yes, in that order. So he says if you do it in that order, it's much more effective and people leave the conversation feeling better about themselves as opposed to feeling worse. We are not our behavior. We are the person managing our behavior. As you undoubtedly know, making mistakes is not the problem. It's not learning from them that causes the real problem. 2 more. Okay, on a 1-minute redirect is intended to help people learn. However, when a person has learned something and has shown they can do it, but they have a won't do attitude, you need to look at the cost to the organization and whether you can afford to keep such a person on your team. So look, you're going to invest in tons of people and you're going to give it your all and you're going to do 1-minute goals and praisings and redirects and coaching. But if someone's just choosing to go against everything, what's the point? Don't have them ruin it for everyone else, right? And the last one here, it says the young man, he too became a new 1-minute manager at the company. He became one not because he thought like one or talked like one, but because he led and managed like one. He kept things simple. He set 1-minute goals. He gave 1-minute praisings and he provided 1-minute redirects. He asked brief, important questions, spoke the simple truth, laughed, worked, and enjoyed. And perhaps most important of all, he not only managed, he also led people to be creative and do new things. He encouraged those around him to do the same for the people they worked with. That's true leadership when you produce other leaders, isn't it? So go check out this book, The New 1-Minute Manager. The link will be in the description below. Simple read, shared a lot of the nuggets with you guys already, but I think you could use this as a manual to see what you're doing and how you might tweak a few of those things to be even more effective with your time and make sure people get the best results out of you as they need be. Hey, thanks for joining me. Put these tips into action and join me in the pursuit of greatness.